Now I'm ready.
Okay, so now let's come back.
Okay.
Okay, so now you can share me some tips or some advice to support Vietnamese to learn English.
Yeah, a lot of my friends from Vietnam tell me that they like watching either movies or videos or even American TV series, and they listen to them in English, but they also use the closed captions so they can see the words that they're pronouncing on the screen. So many of my friends say that really helps them avoid making mistakes in pronouncing words or saying sentences incorrectly.
Mm-hmm. You mean that is a good method for Vietnamese?
Yeah, that's good because a few of my friends who speak English really well, they told me that that's how they learned how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because not only do you hear the words spoken in English, but you can see the words on the screen with the closed captions. So you learn two things. You learn how to spell the word and you know how to pronounce the word correctly that way.
So do you think that method is available and effective for every English learner around the world, not only for Vietnamese?
No, it's for anybody who learns any type of new language. Really, that's the best way to learn it
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
you'll see the word and then you'll understand how to pronounce it and also how to use it properly in a sentence. So yeah, that's that's pretty good advice. Quite a few of my friends, Chinese friends, Korean friends, Vietnamese friends, told me that's how they really learn to speak English so well.
Yeah. Uh, I think that that is an advice for people from around the world who are learning English. But for Vietnamese, I think almost of the people who can understand and make a conversation with you, that means they have a good listening and speaking skills already. Am I right?
Yeah, yeah, that's correct. Yeah, you're right about that.
So for someone who are the beginner, for example, yesterday I invited some of my students to talk to you, but they could not understand some term. So what is your advice for someone like that? Because I want as many students as possible to be able to speak and talk with you. For example, my nephew Gary, example, and yeah, I often encourage them to study English, but they are not confident when they speak with a native speaker. So, what it should be for supporting them? Of course, they have to study by themselves first. But in my situation, like a mentor or a teacher who encourage them to speak up or study English, I'm still go around to find uh some motivation or some reasons to discuss with them. Maybe in the future, you will meet more and more students from my university because my next project will stay focused on my student at my university. Some of them may be interested, how to say, already know how to make a conversation with a foreigner or native speaker, but some of them are not ready yet. So, what is your advice? Or
Yes.
yeah, let me hear about your things, your advice first. Here we go.
Okay. All right. Yeah, well, actually, another way, like when I was trying to learn different languages, at least different words, I would write the word down and I would keep practicing how to pronounce the word. And of course, it's so much easier now because they have apps where you can type in the word and it'll pronounce the word for you, which way back when I was trying to learn different languages, you couldn't do that. Um, but the other thing is, they should never worry about making mistakes. Uh, because people always worry when you learn a new language, if you make a mistake, that person you're speaking to might laugh at you. But I always think it's good to make a mistake because I always feel if you make a mistake now, you won't make that mistake a second time because you'll keep practicing over and over again that you don't make that same mistake. So I hope all that makes sense for you.
Yeah, it makes sense for me because sometimes when we have a private study together, I make mistake, you correct me and you support me to learn something new. That is the way I am doing right now to improve my,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, thank you so much for giving us the advice.
You're welcome.
Okay, so one more question.
Okay.
In the past, I often collect or choose someone who is ready or who is how to say a little bit good, or maybe they are good at in English to discuss with you. But is this possible, or is this will bother you when I invited some beginner like yesterday or some of my new student because I want to challenge myself to how to say to help them to meet you a native speaker as soon as possible. Because if I if I tell them try to study English until you can talk with a native speaker, they will not know how and when they will be able to talk with the native speakers. But if sometime I invite them to talk with you directly, I think it will be more effective. Like uh, they will get more motivation to study or something like that. But I wonder that is it make you boring or bother you or something like that?
Sometimes it's hard when you have a student who's just learning English and you ask questions and they can't answer it because it's hard for you and hard for that person. But like that girl we spoke to yesterday, she was very good and she's been speaking English, I guess, for quite a while. But yeah, the advantage is to that, like you said, if you have a new student, at least when they speak to a foreigner, then they already have that practice of speaking to a foreigner. So the next time they might not be afraid to speak to them. So that's the one advantage for them when they're first learning. Everybody learning a language is always afraid of making mistakes, you know, and it's hard to approach somebody and try to speak to them. But if they're just learning English and you have them speak to a foreigner like me early in the time that they're learning the language, then they might not be as nervous to speak to a stranger the next time.
Yeah. But for you, for your style, I think all of them will be very happy to keep up learning because they always feel comfortable and how to say understandable sometimes. Of course, sometimes they could not understand, but that is their motivation to study day by day after day.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah, because you can motivate them, and also like when I talk to them, I always like because they're always nervous, which is understandable. I'd be nervous too, but that's why sometimes I'll joke with them, or I'll make the animal sounds, or I'll show them my cats because it kind of relaxes them, and they don't feel, you know, if you're just teaching them and you're not friendly, they're scared to speak. But if at least like I show them my cats, that makes them feel more at ease.
Mhm.
They're more relaxed that way, at ease or relaxed. So it should make them feel, you know, a little bit better to try and speak. If that makes sense to you too.
Yeah, I understand. So
I
that's
know when I
why,
was, yeah.
yeah. That's why I always want to spend time for preparing for the some of the pictures or some of the easy context or easy how to say paragraphs or pictures which we can use during the class to support them to practice.
Yeah, that's right.
So what happen when we can prepare for this? For example, we have once a week and then we can prepare the content first and they can practice by themselves before they join. I think it will be better.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I can also use some textbook or some books that have already including the contents and the story, and then they can practice reading and we can uh, learn and help them to understand about the context of the reading section. And maybe it will be more, how to say, it will be easier for them to follow up our lesson, I guess so.
Yeah, and one good motivation thing for them also is because all the years I've traveled, I noticed that you can go to any foreign country, just about any foreign country in the world, and if you know English, you'll be able to converse with people. You'll be able to speak with people. So that's one of the advantages of learning English, that English is spoken all over the world. So you might go to maybe France and you don't speak French, but if you can speak English, a lot of people there speak English, whether it's France, Germany, Spain, South American countries, Asian countries, the same thing. So, yeah, learning English will help you so much in the long run.
Mhm. Okay, one more question. So,
Okay.
so we have just discussed about Vietnamese. So now let's me expand up around like the other country. So what do you see? You met many people from different countries. What do you see the difference way in communication between Vietnamese and other countries?
Well, it's a good question. Every country I visited, everybody speaks English with the accent of their own country. So whether it's people from France, you can understand them, or people from Vietnamese, you can understand them, but they have a Vietnamese accent. It's also me, if I speak Vietnamese words, I use it with an American accent, so I might pronounce words differently. So, uh, but like each country has their own way of pronouncing words, and some countries, with the people speak English, it's so hard to understand them. But Vietnamese are very good at pronouncing words in English.
Uh, I agree with you because when I study English in my country, I can see the people will try to stay focused on pronunciation, like they will learn by British accent or American accent. They will try to
Yeah,
follow two main accents they will try to study, like British or American accent.
yeah,
But as I know, I met some of the people from different countries like Thailand or Myanmar or Bangladesh. Their pronunciation is not really like the way the Vietnamese study. I guess I just guess. I don't know, but I just guess. But from your point of view, I think it will be more balanced because you are a native speaker and you can see which country will have a strong action. I mean, yeah, in my opinion, I will
yeah.
just say that because I'm Vietnamese and I can hear the Vietnamese who speak English more, how to say, easier to understand. But from other country, it's quite difficult for me to get their pronunciation or their accent, something like that.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of times I can always tell if someone from China or Vietnam, if they learned English from a UK teacher, because they have the UK accent. They pronounce words differently than Americans do. So that's the one thing I notice. I'll hear somebody speaking one time, and I'll say, "Oh," I say, "You must have learned from a teacher from the UK," and they'll say, "How do you know?" I say, "Because how you pronounce certain words." So. But a lot of the Vietnamese, though, they speak with American accents, which is really good.
Yeah.
But quite a few Chinese speak with the UK accent, so I can detect that right away.
Yeah, I think we should, in my opinion, we should try to follow the standard action like American accent or British accent.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
why? Because some people said that they don't follow anything, they just speak by their native accent. I
yeah,
I do agree with them if they make the sound clearly and understandable. Sometimes if they use their accent, of course, but they make the sound clearly. I still understand. So that's why I agree that I prefer to use a native speaker like American accent or British accent to make the sound clearly.
Yeah.
Even myself, I don't know which kind of action I follow, but I often stay focused on listening to you or the other foreigners, and I can see someone who speak with American accent or British accent. I can better understanding than the other one who speak different accent without clear up the sound. So it is my opinion for that. So what do you think? Do you think that the people should follow the excuse me should follow the native speaker like American or British accent, or they can do it by themselves without thinking about any action? What do
Well, well, the thing I've noticed over the years, if I tell somebody they have a British accent, they'll say, no, we want to speak American English. So it seems like all the Asians I met, they always want to speak American English. They'll say to me, I want to speak American English like you speak it. So uh, that, I've always noticed that they prefer our the way Americans speak compared to the way the people from the UK speak English.
you? Yeah, of course they sometimes when we say that American or British, even you are an American and you go to visit the Brit the England, for example, and someone speak English in the England, maybe you will recognize very easier, and but of course you still understand. It's easier. But sometimes maybe they use some how to say slang or different in use. Maybe it will a little bit each the different meaning. And if they explain to you, you may know and understand about those kind of words using it in their own way. I am I right when I say that? Like something like that? It's the same
Yeah,
with you when you live in USA. You may have some slang or some expression that doesn't normal. It's not normal in English in use. So you may explain more for someone who are from different countries, or they don't have enough background about that kind of culture, and they could not able to understand about that. Am I right?
yeah, that's right. And also every country's like that. Like people in northern Vietnam speak a little different than people from the south. And the same in my country. If you're in one part of the USA, they talk differently than they do in another part. And there's like four different dialects in America. Same in China. People in northern China speak a little different than people in southern China. So that happens in every country. So sometimes you might talk to somebody from America, um, like maybe from New England, the northern part, and they even to us sometimes it's hard to understand. Or people from the South where I live, they speak with very strong accents. Like that where I used to live in the north of America, we would say like, "How are you doing?" or "How are all of you doing?" But
Mm.
in the southern part of the USA, they'll say, "How y'all doing?" It'll be Y apostrophe ALL. How y'all doing instead of how are all of you doing? So they just pronounce words differently. But every country in the world is like that.
Mm. Exactly. Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Oh.
the one thing that really bothers me a lot when I'm over there in Vietnam, especially like a Hoan Kim Lake, when I walk around the lake, I always like to try and talk to the students to help them improve their English. And so many times I'll see foreigners speaking to them, but the foreigners speak very, very fast.
Mm.
And I can tell by the looks on the faces of the Vietnamese students, like they have no idea what that person's saying. I always think you should speak slowly and clearly so they can understand.
You are so kind.
And I always tell the students if I'm talking to them, I'll say, if I say something you don't understand, feel free to stop me and I'll repeat it again or I'll explain what it means. But a lot of the foreigners who speak, they'll talk for like maybe 2 to 5 minutes and they'll walk away. But I'll stay there for a half hour talking to the students. So
That's why all the people talk to you, they are so happy and understandable what you're telling them, huh?
yeah, it seems that way. You're right.
Yes, that's right. We are so lucky because sometimes when we met you, you can not only to support us to improve our English, but also can give us some motivation to study English well.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. You're right
You
about
know,
that.
one thing that I'm trying right now is, as you know, I'm not an English teacher in the past, but now I'm working like an English teacher like that. But I
Yeah.
don't, I don't stay focused on giving them knowledge because the knowledge is everywhere, like reading books, listen to the other channels, or listen to the other lesson from online lesson, or many different resources that they can update their knowledge and learn by themselves. But the thing that I stay focusing on, that is improve myself first. In the past, I haven't thought about that because I'm not I don't think that I haven't think that I will be a, how to say, inspire something like that. I mean, if if I want to have more and more people, I just try to improve myself first. Because when I improve myself, that means I can achieve a next level, or how to say, I can get, I can increase my level, and I can achieve more and more people I can touch, and I can, how to say, go go closer. I will go closer to them, and I can learn something nice from them. Uh, how? Yes, I'm doing right now. I don't know how, but I'm still trying my best. But why? Because I want to tell all of my students that I am the very bad guy. I don't know how to say English, but now I can do that. I can do it. I met many people, and I can meet many people nowadays, even native speaker or English learner from around the world. And I
Yeah.
want them to learn English, and I can inspire them the flame, or the fire. That means always burns themselves, like this guy can do that, I can do that. That is what I'm doing right now. I will not teach them. I will tell them that no, I will not teach you something you can learn, but I will point to where you can learn, or what should you learn. And I am doing it right now, and I do believe that my student can do that. That is why I'm doing right now. Even I always inspire them by that way. And I think, I am not sure, but I think that is a good way for me to do my best, because I hope in the future, more and more student and more English learner will guess my point. That is, we will not compare with anyone else. We will stay focused on ourselves, and we will improve ourselves step by step, daily and day after day. And when they can do that, I do believe that they can use English better than myself in the past and until now and forever. But that is my mindset. I want to send to all of my students. I can do that. They can do that. Of course, everyone can do that, and we will be a better version of ourselves day after day.
Yeah, definitely right. Yeah, you're right about that. I like how you stated all that.
Yeah.
Very good.
You know, that's why I always think about how to inspire the English learner learn day after day. Because, for example, I'm lucky I can meet you once or twice a week, or even more. Sometimes you visit my country, I can meet you directly, but not
Yeah.
all of my students can do that because the time is limited and we don't have enough time for everyone like that. But we can do that by themselves if we give them right way or right motivation. And that is the way I am doing right now, even for my student and all the people who are learning English and really want to use English like a native speaker.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I like how you look at things and how you describe everything. So yeah, that's you have great ideas there.
Yeah. Even I made a lot of mistake, huh? I made a lot of mistake, but I still try my best to
Hey,
express.
I make mistakes every day, so it's normal to make mistakes, really. So yeah.
Okay. The last question for you, my friend.
Yes.
For someone who are learning English, of course they have to practice for skill listening, speaking, reading, and writing, but I will stay focused on speaking and writing right now. For reading and listening, they can practice by themselves, but for speaking and writing, of course, they still practice. But I want to ask you that the difference between speaking and writing. For example, in my opinion, I think for speaking skill, we just try to learn how to express our idea correctly or clearly to make a conversation, how to say, go a right way. I mean, I say something and you understand. I may make some mistake and you still understand. That is for speaking skill, or we say
Yeah,
spoken English, right? Spoken English.
that's right.
But for writing, it should be follow the grammar or some rule of writing. So, what is your opinion about that question? Difference between speaking and writing, and how can help English learner can improve both of skill, like still still writing well, but still speaking easier to how to say a natural way to have the other one to understand. What do you think?
Yeah, well, when I had exchange students living with me, they all said to me, learning English was fine and speaking it was fine, but it was when you'd have to write things down, it was more confusing for them. And the most confusing part for them was if they would speak to an American and they would answer them. The American would answer them and ask them a question. When they'd have to answer, that was always the hardest part. So, yeah, that's a good question. So, when it comes to the writing, I know when I was trying to learn Spanish years ago, learning how to pronounce the words and saying, uh, just saying different things in the language is easy, but writing it down, I always thought was always hard. So, yeah, it's hard to really say what's the best way to teach somebody how to write because they have so many different ways of teaching anymore today that we didn't have back when I was young. So, yeah, I guess the best way, once again, is if you watch a video, a movie, a cartoon, and you do the closed captioning, you'll see the words on the screen and you hear them pronounced, and that way you'll know how to spell them, and that would be a better way to learn how to write the words.
Mm,
Uh, if that's much of an answer or what you were looking for, but I guess learning how to speak is the easiest part, and after that you can learn how to write later on. It's,
yeah, I agree. I agree that speaking nowadays, speaking is much more easier than writing. Of course, but for someone like me, it's correct. But someone who don't like open their mouth to practice, maybe they write very well, but they could not speak.
yeah, that's right. That's true. You're right
It
about that.
depends. It depends on, but for me, if they want to improve their speaking skill, they must try to watch and then they should practice.
Yeah,
And
practice is the
yeah,
big.
for for all the skills, they must to pass one learns how and pass two uh practice to see what is the difference between the theory and practical.
That's right. And we have a phrase in America. You might have heard it already, but we say practice makes perfect. So, in other words, the more you practice, the more you're going to be perfect. So, we say practice makes perfect. Do you ever hear that phrase?
Yeah, I often use that phrase, but now I'm
Oh,
also use another phrase like practice make progress. That's it.
yeah. Hey, that's even better. I like that. So, you came up with a better phrase than I did.
I use both of those phrases. So, but I think that in all the situation, we should try to look forward to something that is a positive thing. For example, when someone learn English, for example, myself, when I learn English, I know I don't know how to say. I am not sure all of my knowledge or my sentences that I make, of course, mistake or not, I'm not sure. But sometimes when I recognize myself, I will correct myself. But sometimes I could not recognize this. I will ask or require you or some other teacher will correct me if it's possible. So yeah, it depends on the way of learners. Someone who learn but they don't want to correct, they just
Yeah.
practice. And yeah, by the way, I think today is interesting lesson because I have my own time for myself with teacher view. I
Yeah, it doesn't
mentioned,
happen that often. So,
yeah.
yeah, it was good to talk to you one on one tonight. So, hey, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And
Thank you so much.
yeah, and we had some really bad storms here. We don't usually get bad storms. There's a hurricane on the eastern part of the United States. It's pretty far away from me, but we don't usually get affected by that. But we had heavy thunderstorms and heavy rains for 2 days. And where I live in my neighborhood, in the past 3 days, three times our power went out, our electricity went out. And yesterday it was out for 11 hours. It's never out that long. So we had some pretty bad storms, which
Oh,
is very rare for where I live. So,
I'm sorry about that. So let me give my all wishes and best thing for the America who will face it. That's is
I
that
appreciate
true?
it.
Yes.
Yep.
So
I
bad.
appreciate that, my friend.
Okay, as you wishes from Vietnamese when we faced with the typhoon some weeks ago, and yeah, the human should be tried to take care of the nature. Don't make mistake like cutting all the trees in the forest is dangerous.
Definitely. You're right about that.
Yeah.
That's true. So, okay, my friend. Well, you take care of yourself. Have a good week, and I'll talk to you next weekend. Okay.
Okay, my friend, thank you so much, and I hope to see you next time. And now I think I will stop sharing my screen.
Okay.
Okay, so goodbye, my friend, and see you next time.
Take care, Lucero. We'll see you, my friend. Have a good week. Okay.
Bye.
Take care. Hey, bye bye, my friend.